Ladies and gentlemen, we present the Economic Times HR Excellence Forum. This conference aims to figure the most optimal solutions to utilize opportunities to chart feasible strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, to kickstart this evening, I'd like to call on board Mr. Deepak Lamba, President Times Conferences Limited, to do the welcome address. Deepak, all yours.
Honorable Minister for Human Resources for the Government of Andhra Pradesh, Shri Ganta Raoji, distinguished guests. Very good evening and a warm welcome to this evening, which promises to be an evening where we will, which is dedicated to recognizing the efforts and felicitate some of the industry's senior HR leaders who, through their tireless work over the years, have succeeded in shaping up the workplace environment, and which is a place which, as most of you will know, is where we spend most of our waking hours. It is clear that the coming years are full of opportunity and full of great challenges as the Indian economy surges ahead. So today I'll stress the need for us to think differently and continue to invest in developing new ideas in HR, something that is truly distinctive, something that can address the truly multi-generational workforce, which can use technology to deliver and to communicate with people. And most importantly, it should look beyond the transactional and the short term. The Economic Times acknowledges the fact that organizations prosper only when backed with a solid workforce and vice versa. And so today, this evening, we are wanting to recognize those organizations who, to our mind, have walked that extra mile in terms of connecting with their employees and trying to understand their employees. And we also want to felicitate those individuals who are HR champions in their own organizations, not only for their team, but also for the organization. I also hope that we're all eager to listen to our speakers, our panelists, all of whom have been instrumental in upping the ante in HR in their own way. Thank you once again for your time, and I hope you have an enjoyable evening which is full of insights and learning. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to call on stage our chief guest, Honorable Minister of Human Resources Development, Government of Andhra Pradesh, Mr. G. Srinivasa Rao, to give the chief guest address.
Ladies and gentlemen, and to all the HR dignitaries, I feel honored to be invited for the HR Excellence Meet. Before going to the actual discussion about how to upskill or excel our workforce or human resources, let me present some demographics of India in comparison with the rest of the world. I know that everyone is pretty aware that India stands second in terms of its population with 1.23 billion, where China stands first with 1.36 billion, and US has a population of 0.316 million. Without analyzing the actual strengths of any layman can say that India is rich in its human resources. As a Minister for Human Resources, I should proudly announce that by 2025, India stands first with a population of 1.6 billion. Of course, on the other side, as a citizen of India, I have the concern for increased population also. If I am not bothering you with the figures, I would like to mention that 50% of population is under 25 years of age and 65% of population is below the age of 35 years. Here, we can see the strength of young India. When we see the predictions of International Labour Organization, by 2020, India has 116 millions of workers between the age of 20 and 24, when compared to 94 million workers in China. I would like to emphasize that Ministry for HRD and corporate companies should work together with mutual cooperation and coexistence. We from the government side are not only ready to increase the literates, but we are looking forward to produce qualified literates with more analytical strength and better skills. On behalf of the Government of Andhra Pradesh, I would urge the corporate HR heads to consider Andhra Pradesh, which has tremendous human capital to invest in the state. I assure you that the government will be very proactive in skill building and creating conducive atmosphere for doing business. We would be more than willing to consider your proposals and expertise in strategizing our policies in making Andhra Pradesh a skill capital of India. Hope I should restrict myself. Finally, I would like to mention the great saying of Roosevelt that believe you can and you are halfway there. That should be the motto for skill development in excelling our human resources. Thank you for Economic Times for honoring me as the guest, and thank you one and all for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
It's an honor to be here and speaking for myself, especially so as I sit amongst these stalwarts from the HR fraternity. We're going to speak about an interesting subject, one which we've all heard a lot about in terms of the changing role of the HR function, one moving from a functional role to playing a larger, more strategic role. So with that, and let me kind of open this up for a discussion. And maybe Adil, I'll start with you. If we could start with the first, and like I said, to get started, what in your view is driving this change in terms of the HR role per se?
If you keep listening to the kind of words that you keep hearing about what is happening in the current times, and it sounds like really thunderous words about some major change is happening, you could not be quoting anything different than what Khayyam says, which says, "Ye kya jagah hai dosto, ye kaun sa mazar hai?" Where have we arrived at? But if you really look at what is really happening, this is indeed a story of transiting in the economic journey of the nation. Transiting from two things. Number one, being perceived as a romanticized contributor, to being actually accepted as a eclectic value creator. And that's the story of transition that we are talking about. So changing from, what would you say, a mover of human resources, which is an inertia-led resource, to changing it and creating a prime creator of value is what our role is. And once you do that, you will certainly become a strategic partner to business.
If I kind of maybe pose this next one to Vineet, as HR looks to make this leap, and keeping some of what Adil so rightly pointed out too, in terms of getting those elements to get that inertia going right, what do you see as the positives, the benefits of the transition, and the downsides, if any, as we kind of look to make this transition?
The way I look at it is that it's something really good to see that the strategic process in HR has already begun. And all of you are playing a really major part in it. I think the whole shift has taken place very clearly in terms of seeing the impact and the change that it is making on the business. It is primarily trying to see the entire process starting from pre-program, the program, post-program, and on the ground, how the rubber is hitting the road. I think that is what the HR move is taking place. That is what business is looking for. We are also today looking at what are the better ways of providing that learning piece so that we are able to meet and impact the business. One of the reasons many companies are having their own leaders getting involved in the whole learning process is another measure in this area. One of the things that is Shalini just mentioned in terms of how do you see as a downside, and that's something that has been playing on my mind, that what could be certain downside of this whole strategic shift. Let's not forget that HR is also interested with being the custodian of some of the softer aspects in the organization. If you all remember, some of you studied Dave Woolridge's model, the role of employee champion, or in terms of change management. Now, these are areas that in this whole process of strategic shift, it should not happen that the HR role is typically left to certain mechanical clicks or is becoming more like a robo handling people. Now, that is the aspect which will have to be well balanced, so that to see that the shifts that are taking place in the strategic approach, the speed in which we are moving, somewhere the softer aspects and the people orientation of organizations and the real things like we talk of things like the individual dignity, respect for people, and valuing the people in the true sense. These are aspects that are not left. So these are some thoughts that came to my mind.
Thanks, Vineet. And very valid points, because it is these people that make it the organization. And in fact, as we look at this whole changing role of HR, and we look at the move that we're talking on, the leap that we're looking to make, Divakar would love to hear your thoughts on, from where you're watching this whole evolution happen, how ready do you believe we are for this change?
Okay, since we have a large audience of HR people, we look at it from the HR point of view. First, I have a problem with the statement itself. Are we ready to go from function to strategy? You know, this itself comes from a perceived state of disempowerment. That's my first problem with the statement itself. If you're talking in terms of are we hand in hand with the business as equal partners, or are we the experts, supporting crew, providing specialized tools and specialized services for the smarter guys who run the business, you know, because the title itself speaks of a state of disempowerment. Then my answer is we are somewhere in between. And I would think if we understand business, and if we tailor our services, and if we provide our expertise towards business success, we are equal partners. And if you do that, you know, there's no question of being functional or strategic and all. You're part of success. There are a bunch of people working for a company or for an organization, and you're an equal partner to see that success happens because you provide your set of tools, just like the R&D fellow provides his or the manufacturing fellow provides his. Then, you know, there's no issue of whether you're function or strategy. If you're a good function, you're part of strategy. If you're good in your function, you're part of strategy. If you're not good in your function, no matter what your function is, you're not part of strategy.
Sumit, to kind of shift gears a little and talk a little more in terms of some concrete examples to the points being made, if we're already kind of in that seat playing that strategic role, some examples that you could share in terms of making that difference and contributing and making that change really happen?
Yeah, I think I'll take over from what my earlier panelists talked about, and they really sort of made it very clear. And to me, I think for HR to play a strategic role, I think there are two sides of the coin. I think one, the organization and the sort of overall ecosystem that we provide. And we as HR leaders, how do we sort of nurture and allow youngsters to become strategic? And to me, I think it's very core to look at the way we position the HR function. I think most organizations have HR on the strategy table, but is it a real strategic partner or is it subservient to business objectives? We should also understand that there is a basic expectation from all our HR talent, and I think many of the people in the room and many of my colleagues, when I speak to them, they say, you know, but what about, you know, the administrative tasks? What about filling in the vacancies? What about filling in the, sort of getting the training numbers done? And I think that's a basic expectation. And we as an organization and as a fraternity really need to think, how do we get some of that into auto mode so that more and more HR time is really available for understanding business and playing the role of a strategic partner.
I'm curious, Thiru, if I kind of think through just your thoughts, if you've seen situations where that dynamic market environment suddenly kind of puts plans for a toss, how do you support, how does a function then support strategy when you're kind of caught off guard, when you've not thought through contingencies perhaps? Any thoughts on that?
HR professionals should have the mindset of do or die along with the business. So business will drive HR and not the other way. That is fundamental. The second one is strategy and competency. The most misunderstood word in the profession in the last 10 years. We can use whatever vocabulary, whatever English. Ultimately, it should serve the business purpose. And why I am saying this very confidently, we have multiple businesses, and everybody says customer first, employee first, and all that. Here is the industry where somebody who is not even aware that something is happening. Now we are talking, if you want to put it professionally, inclusive growth. Somebody 500 kilometers away, 1,000 kilometers away decides whether your industry should be here or not. So the entire structure, thinking process, mindset changes once your business scenario changes.
Thank you, Thiru. I'd like to thank all my panelists here today, and thank you for being a wonderful audience.
Sudhakar to give us a special address on creation of globally abled workforce through technological advances.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Technology today, is permeating every aspect of your life. So, being a HR fraternity or creating a globally able workforce is a reality, and it is being enabled by technology. If you look at the way technology is touching every aspect of our lives, HR is no limitation. Talent today transcends boundaries, and you as HR professionals should be at the forefront in leveraging technology to build a world-class and top-notch learning organizations and create a global pipeline of talent, not just for India, but for the world as a whole. Thank you very much.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, moving forward, it's the felicitation ceremony celebrating excellence in HR. I'd request our chief guest, Mr. G. Srinivas Rao, to come on stage, please. Ladies and gentlemen, our chief guest deserves a huge round of applause. We appreciate you giving us your valuable time, sir. And of course, Mr. Deepak Lamba will be joining hands with him to do the honors of presenting these felicitations. Give it up for Mr. Lamba as well, please. The category is recruitment practices. Ladies and gentlemen, Axis Bank, K. Vishwanathan, Senior Vice President, Human Resources, will be accepting it on behalf of Axis Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, Godrej, Sumit Mitra, Head Global HR and Corporate Services. Idea Cellular, Vinay Razdan, Chief Human Resources Officer, will be coming on behalf of Idea Cellular to receive this felicitation. Jet Airways, Dr. Samar B. Srivastav, Senior Vice President, Human Resources, will come on stage to receive it on behalf of Jet Airways. Again, for recruitment category, Taj Hotels and Resorts, Rallen Gomes, General Manager. Again, in the recruitment category as well, TCS, Thomas Simon, Vice President and Global Head, Talent Engagement. The next category, ladies and gentlemen, is learning and development practices. Accenture, Mr. Manoj Biswas, MD HR. Up next, Aditya Birla, Mr. Ratan Shah, Business Head, and HR Shashikant, Group Executive President, Group HR. Hindustan Unilever Limited, Mr. Jerry Jose, Leadership Development Head, South Asia. Congratulations, sir. ICICI Bank, Ms. Nidhi Kajaria, and Mr. Sohandeep, Deputy General Manager, HR. Reliance Communication, Mr. Amit Das, President and CHRO. Ladies and gentlemen, the next category is talent management practices. Coca-Cola, Alpana Varta, General Manager, Human Resources. Cox and Kings, Padmini Misra, Global Head, Human Resource. IBM, Reena Desai, Associate Director, HR, IBM. ITC Limited, Mr. Harish Purandre, HR Leader for the Western region. Vodafone, Mr. Surendra Mehta, Senior Vice President, Human Resources. Thank you, Team Vodafone. And I request Mr. Lamba to take his seat as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Lamba. And joining Mr. Rao on stage is going to be Mr. Sudhakar. Sir, can I have you on stage for the individual felicitations. HR Transformational Practices, Mr. Panish Rao, Senior Vice President, Head HR, Atos IMEA and Global Delivery Center. Congratulations, sir. Leadership Development Practices, Mr. Subrat Chakravarti, Chief People Officer, Birla Soft. Ladies and gentlemen, big congratulations to Mr. Murli Padmanabhan, Global Head Learning and Development, Virtusa Consulting. Ladies and gentlemen, in recruitment practices, it's my honor to call on stage Mr. Saurabh Nigam, Head HR, Snapdeal. The last of the felicitations, talent acquisition practices. It is my honor to call on stage Mr. B.B. Srinivasulu, Vice President, NTT Data. Congratulations, sir. And a big thank you to our chief guest, Mr. G. Srinivasa Rao. It was a pleasure having you all over, and on behalf of ET Edge and the Economic Times, thank you so much. And here's looking forward to lots more ceremonies like this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Coca-Cola's outstanding commitment on people. Everything that we do is very pivotal, as I keep saying, around people. As a company, we don't go back and build engagement for employees. We go back and say, what do you need us to build as an environment that will make you successful, that will make you productive, that will make you gaining, that will make you credible, that will make you growing, and feel inspired and motivating. We kind of focus on that area and that bit, and that leads to different things.
We've been focusing on fundamentals. We've been focusing on, in terms of hiring the right quality of talent, and really investing on them to build for future roles in terms of the way we assess them, and then we invest them in terms of capability building and the business of future. And that really helps us, make sure that the business delivers to for now and for future, and that has really helped us.
Our banks, the strong culture which we have within developed, which is our own USP. The work culture which we have developed within the bank is something which keeps us different from the other banks. And this is something which has not happened overnight. It has been built brick by brick by the bank, and that's what is keeping us away from, or which is separating us from the other banks.
Motivating the talent is an important aspect. Hence, we created a gamification for the recruiters to motivate and perform better and better and better. And that is exactly this achievement has happened because of that.
Recognition is always very important, irrespective of the level, and this is my first national individual award, so I really feel very honored, and I am extremely proud of having received it.
The Economic Times HR Excellence Forum has been a phenomenal platform, and it worked us well to recognize the HR community, and it's been a great place, recognizing and rewarding, top-notch HR professionals, and it's been a really satisfying experience for us.